Welcome back to another video, folks. Today we're going to be jumping into something a little bit different. It's something of a podcast, and we'll be heading over to Oldham, which looks a little bit like this. More specifically, we'll be talking about Limehurst Village, which is in Limeside, a part of Oldham. Now, I've been on the NLS, National Library of Scotland. They haven't sponsored this video, but I must say thank you anyway, because it's an amazing resource. So if we just go closer to Limeside, using these old maps, you'll see that on a road called Rowan Tree Road, there are houses there. However, this curiosity of mine, it's something that's been in my mind for a long time. I must have been 4 or 5 years old, maybe even a little bit younger. And where you see my cursor on the screen now, that is roughly where we're going to be talking about. And I remember vividly looking down that road from Acacia Road onto Rowan Tree Road and seeing absolutely nothing. There were no houses there at all. It was overgrown, it was all patchy and broken and messy, and it just, with respect, quite unsightly. Now, roughly where the cursor is now, where I'm circling, you could see the pavements open up ever so slightly. Now, by logic, you wouldn't have that if it was just intended to be nothing but a road. A bit like Coalpit Lane, if you're familiar with that. That's just kind of a road. Now, on Rowan Tree Road, I've had to do some research on this because there isn't a lot online about it. If we go down to the older maps now, we can see that there definitely were houses there at some point. And I've had to kind of ask family about this just to confirm it. But as we can see, September 1952, when this was surveyed, there definitely were houses there. And if we zoom in a little bit now to Rowan Tree Road, those are the openings that I saw where the cursor is now, which is pretty interesting. So as you can see, there were houses there definitely. You see that there, RP, that is key here. That means revision point, which takes me on to Timepix. They also haven't sponsored this video, however, a massive shout out to them because their website is also a really, really useful resource. There was a photograph taken of a couple of the houses, roughly where that RP is, on both sides of the road. So if we just look at what it used to be like, this was taken a few years after I would have seen it all those years ago, but nonetheless it's pretty similar. So if we just zoom in from Limeside Road up Rowan Tree Road, you can see it's derelict, it's overgrown and broken, but on the right and left you can see things like trees, wooden stumps, telegraph poles. There was definitely life there. But as to why there's nothing about them online, at least from a glance, not that you can tell anyway, it's a bit of a curiosity, and that's why for so many years I've been wondering what happened on that street. As a kid, maybe my imagination just ran a bit wild, I don't really know, but certainly the feel of it was really bizarre. But nowadays they have built on it, and as miserable as it is, it's better than it was. So if we head over to Timepix, you can see these are what they look like. These are the houses that used to be on Rowan Tree Road. They were concrete, prefabricated houses, and they were built just after the war to house people, only temporarily. The lifespan of these types of houses was only about 10 years, 15 years or so, but I understand from research they lasted a bit longer than that in some cases. And it's no different with these in Limeside. Now, my theory goes as follows. They outlived their suggested lifespan. They were becoming a bit of a problem in terms of upkeep, and demolishing them and putting new houses on the street would have been a more economical solution. But when I asked my mum and my nana what actually happened on that street, was that the reason they were knocked down? What they said was along the lines of, yeah, my thinking's right there. They were knocked down because they were uneconomical and they were getting old. You know, I think if my thinking is right, they'd have been 60 or 70 years old. So when they come down, that was the intention. They was going to build new houses that were going to be permanent, and that's what we see today. However, there was one family that held it up, which might have been why it was so late. I don't really remember the houses themselves, but my mum was absolutely adamant they were there in my lifetime. But to be honest, I only ever remember seeing the land of which they used to stand on. My nana also suggested, well, she didn't suggest, she told me she actually had relatives around that area, which is interesting because I never knew that. And then my mum said, yeah, these people, I don't know who they are. If by chance they come across this video, get in touch, because I'd love to speak to you and get some more information about these houses and even yourselves. But just going back to it, yeah, this one family, they refused to move, and the council offered them everything but the kitchen sink to get out. So when they finally left, they knocked them down and just flattened the land, and it obviously took a long time to build new houses, but eventually it got done. Probably, I don't know, a little bit less than 15, 20 years, that kind of period. But like I said, just going back to the beginning, I always had this weird feeling about the street. Like I said, it's probably just a child's imagination, isn't it? Watching too much TV and thinking there's something sinister about something that's really quite simple. But yeah, I'm just absolutely in awe. These houses aren't glamorous with respect, but they lasted a long time, and to know that there was life there before I saw this seemingly kind of creepy street it was interesting to learn of, and especially thinking, oh, actually, my ancestors have frequented it on or around these parts. Yeah, I've always had a bit of a strange, not obsession, but interest in like local history. But yeah, they weren't meant to last that long. They did, and I can only imagine it was really difficult for people who had a home there to give up what they'd built. Not the physical house itself, but it's memories, isn't it, and things like that. So no, I can understand they would have wanted a good offer. So yeah, there we have it. I'm sorry if this video has been a little bit shorter than the usual graveyard video. We're coming back soon with another one. Stay tuned for that because it's going to be a really interesting one. Um, so yeah, I didn't really know how to do this video, but what I knew was I wanted to do this. I had some kind of calling to it. So yeah. Also, just before I go, I wanted to say thank you to Timepix, as well as NLS. So thank you very much to those two wonderful resources.